Please, sir, will you buy my dad's police dog? The little girl's voice cracked in the frozen air. She sat huddled against the cemetery gates, arms wrapped around a German shepherd twice her size. A cardboard sign hung from the dog's neck. 3 words. $3. Please buy him. Officer Marcus Webb stopped breathing. The metal tag on the dog's collar caught the weak winter sun. A K9 unit badge. Cedar Falls Police Department. This wasn't just any dog being sold for the price of a candy bar. This was Shadow. The most decorated police dog in the county's history. And a child was trying to sell him to save her dying father. Marcus cut the engine and stepped out of his patrol car. The cold hit him like a fist. His boots crunched through 3 inches of fresh snow as he approached the cemetery gates. The German shepherd lifted his head immediately. Dark eyes locked onto Marcus with the sharp assessment of a trained professional. "Easy boy," Marcus said softly. The dog didn't move, didn't growl, just watched. The little girl looked up. Her face was raw from wind and tears. Purple shadows circled her eyes. Her jacket, Marcus noticed, was too thin, ripped at the shoulder. The zipper broken. "Are you okay, sweetheart?" She shook her head slowly. "No, sir." Marcus crouched down, keeping his movements slow. "My name is Marcus. I'm a police officer. Can you tell me your name?" "Lily." Her voice came out scratched, barely a whisper. "Lily Porter." Marcus felt something cold settle in his stomach that had nothing to do with the weather. Porter. He knew that name. Every cop in Cedar Falls knew that name. "Lily, is this Shadow?" The girl's arms tightened around the dog's neck. Shadow pressed closer to her, his body curved protectively around her small frame. His tail didn't wag. His posture remained rigid. Alert. Ready. "He's my daddy's dog," Lily whispered. "His partner." Marcus looked at the cardboard sign again. The letters were uneven, written in crayon. Red crayon. The kind a child would use. $3, he read aloud. "You're selling Shadow for $3. Lily's lower lip trembled. "Please, sir, will you buy him? He's a hero. He saved my daddy's life. Twice." Her voice cracked. "He deserves someone who can take care of him. Someone with heat. Someone with food." Marcus felt like someone had reached into his chest and squeezed. "Lily, where's your father?" "Home." She wiped her nose with the back of her hand. "He's sick. Real sick. He doesn't know I'm here." "How long have you been sitting out here?" Lily looked down at her frozen fingers. "Since yesterday." "Yesterday," Marcus's voice sharpened. "You've been out here all night." "Shadow kept me warm." She buried her face in the dog's fur. "He wouldn't let me freeze. He never lets anything bad happen to me." Shadow turned his head and licked her cheek. Once. Twice. Then his eyes returned to Marcus, steady and watchful. Marcus had seen a lot in 12 years on the force. Drug busts, domestic violence, car accidents that haunted his dreams. But this a child sitting in negative 15-degree weather trying to sell her father's retired police dog for $3, this was something different. This was desperation so deep it didn't have a bottom. "Lily, I need you to tell me everything. Can you do that?" She hesitated. Shadow nudged her arm with his nose, a gentle push of encouragement. "Daddy says I'm not supposed to talk to strangers about our problems." "I'm not a stranger," Marcus said quietly. "I'm a police officer, just like your father was. We look out for each other." Lily studied his face for a long moment. Then she took a shaky breath. "It started after the explosion." Marcus went still. He remembered that night, 18 months ago. The chemical plant on the edge of town. 3 buildings collapsed. 2 firefighters injured. 1 K9 officer trapped under burning debris. Michael Porter, Shadow's handler. Your father was hurt in that fire. Lily nodded. Shadow dragged him out. Daddy was trapped under a big piece of metal. He couldn't breathe. But Shadow grabbed his jacket and pulled and pulled. Her voice filled with fierce pride. Shadow's leg was broken. He was bleeding. But he didn't stop. He didn't leave Daddy. Marcus looked at Shadow with new eyes. The dog sat perfectly still, but Marcus could see the slight stiffness in his left rear leg. An old injury that never fully healed. That's when they gave Shadow his medal, Lily continued. And Daddy got one too. Everyone called them heroes. They are heroes. But heroes don't get help. Lily's voice turned bitter, too bitter for a child so young. That's what Daddy says. Heroes just get forgotten. Marcus felt those words hit him somewhere deep. What happened after the fire, Lily? Daddy couldn't go back to work. His lungs got hurt from the smoke. He coughs all the time. Sometimes there's blood. She spoke matter-of-factly, the way children do when they've lived with something terrible for so long it becomes normal. The doctors gave him medicine, but it's really expensive. What about his pension? His insurance? Lily shrugged. They said he had a pre-existing condition. I don't know what that means. I just know they won't pay. Marcus closed his eyes briefly. Pre-existing condition. The 2 words that had destroyed more veterans than enemy fire ever could. Daddy tried to work anyway, Lily said. He got a job at the hardware store, but he kept having to stop and catch his breath. After 2 weeks, they let him go. And then the bills started coming. Lily pulled her jacket tighter, trying to ward off a chill that had nothing to do with cold. Red envelopes, final notice, shut-off warning. I learned to hide them so Daddy wouldn't see. He gets so upset. You hid the bills. I put them in my sock drawer. Daddy never looks there. A tear slid down her cheek. I thought maybe if he didn't see them, they would go away. Marcus's throat tightened. When did they cut off your heat? Lily thought for a moment. 2 weeks ago, Daddy said we'd be okay. He said we'd figure it out. He keeps saying that, but nothing gets figured out. It just gets worse. And food. Lily went quiet. Lily, 3 days ago. Her voice dropped to barely a whisper. That's when we ran out. Marcus felt rage building in his chest. Not at Lily. Not at her father. At a system that could let a decorated officer and his daughter starve in silence. Have you eaten anything in 3 days? Lily shook her head. What about Shadow? I gave him my last can of soup. She stroked the dog's ears. He tried to give it back. He kept pushing the bowl toward me with his nose, but I hid it under my pillow until he ate it. Shadow let out a low whine. He pressed his head against Lily's side as if apologizing for something that wasn't his fault. That's why you're selling him, Marcus said slowly. So he can eat. So he won't freeze. Lily's voice broke. Last night, Shadow was shaking so hard. I put my jacket on him. I stayed awake watching him because I was scared he would die. She looked up at Marcus with eyes that had seen too much. Shadow saved my daddy. I can't let him die in our house because we can't keep him warm. Marcus had to look away for a moment. His vision blurred. He blinked hard. Does your father know you're here? Lily shook her head violently. He can't know. He'd be so upset. He loves Shadow more than anything. More than me, maybe. She said it without jealousy, just stating a fact. Shadow was Daddy's best friend for 7 years. They worked together every day. They saved each other's lives. Your father would never want you to sit out here in the cold. I know. Lily's chin lifted with sudden determination. But Daddy is too proud to ask for help. He says he doesn't want charity. He says he'd rather die than beg. Lily, that's what he said. Her voice cracked. He said he'd rather die. And I believe him. But I'm not going to let him die. I'm not going to let Shadow die. So if I have to sell Shadow to a stranger, if I have to sit here until someone finally stops. She took a shuddering breath. Then that's what I'll do. Marcus reached out and gently took her frozen hand. How long have you been coming here trying to sell him? 4 days. 4 days. Lily nodded. I come every morning before school, then after school until dark. Nobody ever stops. She looked at Marcus with something like wonder. You're the first person who stopped. Marcus felt that hit him like a physical blow. 4 days. 4 days this child had been sitting in the freezing cold, watching people walk by, hoping someone would care enough to stop. And nobody did. Until now. Lily, I'm not going to buy Shadow. Her face crumpled. Please, sir, please. I'm not asking for a lot. Just $3, that's all. I'm not going to buy Shadow, Marcus repeated firmly. Because Shadow doesn't need to be sold. And neither do you. Lily blinked, confused. I'm going to help you. Both of you. All 3 of you. But how? Marcus squeezed her hand. I don't know yet. But I'm going to figure it out. You're not alone anymore, Lily. Do you understand me? Lily stared at him. Her eyes filled with tears. Fresh tears. Different tears. You promise? I promise. Shadow lifted his head and studied Marcus for a long moment. Then slowly his tail began to wag. Just a little. Just enough. Marcus stood up and extended his hand to Lily. Come on, let's get you both somewhere warm, and then I'm going to meet your father. Lily hesitated. He doesn't like people seeing him sick. He says it makes him feel weak. I understand. Marcus nodded. But sometimes the strongest thing a person can do is let someone help them. Lily placed her small, frozen hand in his. Shadow rose to his feet, shaking snow from his fur. He pressed his shoulder against Lily's leg, guiding her forward. They walked together through the cemetery gates, leaving footprints in the fresh snow. 2 humans, 1 dog, moving toward something that might be hope. Marcus didn't know how he was going to fix this. He didn't know where the money would come from. He didn't know how to navigate a system designed to make people give up. But he knew one thing with absolute certainty. He wasn't walking away. Not today. Not ever. The drive to Lily's house took 12 minutes. 12 minutes through streets Marcus had patrolled for years. Past the bakery where he bought coffee every morning. Past the school where parents dropped off laughing children. Past houses decorated with Christmas lights and holiday wreaths. But the deeper they drove, the more the neighborhood changed. Decorations disappeared. Lights grew sparse. Houses showed their age in peeling paint and sagging porches. Turn left here, Lily said quietly from the back seat. Shadow sat beside her, his head resting on her lap. His eyes never left Marcus in the rearview mirror. Marcus turned onto Maple Street. His heart sank. The houses here weren't just old. They were barely standing. Roofs missing shingles. Windows covered with plastic instead of glass. Yards full of abandoned appliances slowly rusting into the ground. It's the blue one, Lily said. At the end. Marcus looked at the house she pointed to and felt something break inside him. It might have been blue once. Now it was gray. The porch leaned dangerously to one side. Half the windows were dark. The driveway hadn't been shoveled in weeks. But what really got him, was the flag. An American flag hung from a pole beside the front door. Faded, tattered, but still flying. A soldier's flag, a cop's flag, a hero's flag. still raised even when everything else had fallen down. Marcus parked and helped Lily out of the car. Shadow jumped down after her, immediately pressing close to her side. His ears swiveled, constantly scanning for threats. "He does that," Lily explained. "He's always watching. Daddy says it's because of his training. Once a police dog, always a police dog." They climbed the creaking porch steps. Lily reached for the door, then stopped. "Officer Marcus?" "Yes." "Please don't tell Daddy I was trying to sell Shadow. It would break his heart." Marcus nodded. "I'll just say I found you walking home from school and offered you a ride because of the cold." Lily smiled for the first time. A real smile. Small, but genuine. "Thank you." She opened the door. The cold that rushed out hit Marcus like a wall. It was colder inside than outside. How was that possible? Lily walked in first, Shadow at her heels. Marcus followed, and his eyes took a moment to adjust to the darkness. One lamp. A single lamp, burning in the corner. That was the only light. Blankets were piled on every surface, not for comfort, for survival. A space heater sat unplugged in the corner, dead and useless. And on the couch, wrapped in layers of thin blankets, lay a man Marcus barely recognized. Michael Porter had been a legend. Tall, strong, confident. The kind of cop who walked into a room and made everyone feel safer. Marcus remembered seeing him at ceremonies, at training sessions, always with Shadow at his side. Always smiling. Always steady. The man on the couch was a ghost of that legend. His face was hollow. His cheekbones jutted out beneath paper-thin skin. His lips had a blue tinge that Marcus had seen before on victims of hypothermia. His breathing came in shallow, rattling gasps. "Daddy!" Lily rushed to his side. "Daddy, I'm home!" Michael's eyes opened slowly. They were glazed, unfocused. It took him several seconds to find his daughter's face. "Lily!" His voice was barely a whisper. "Where? Where were you?" "Walking home from school. This nice officer gave me a ride because it's cold." Michael's gaze shifted to Marcus. Something flickered in those tired eyes. Recognition. Then shame. "Officer," Michael rasped, trying to sit up. His body failed him. He collapsed back against the cushions, coughing. The sound was wet. Terrible. Wrong. Shadow bounded to his side and placed his front paws gently on the couch. He whined softly, nudging Michael's hand with his nose. Michael's trembling fingers found their familiar place in Shadow's fur. "Hey, partner," he whispered. "Hey, boy." Marcus stepped closer. "Mr. Porter, I'm Officer Marcus Webb." Michael's eyes narrowed. "Webb, you're in the K9 unit." "I was, 3 years ago." Marcus swallowed. "Sir, I found Lily outside in the cold. I brought her home to make sure she was safe." Michael looked at his daughter with a mixture of love and anguish. "I told her not to go out. The weather." "Daddy, I just wanted to take a walk. It's too cold for walks." Michael's voice cracked. "It's too cold for... He erupted into another coughing fit. This one lasted longer. When it finally ended, he pressed a cloth to his lips. Even in the dim light, Marcus could see the spots of red. Blood. Michael Porter was coughing blood. "How long has this been going on?" Marcus asked quietly. Michael looked away. "Months." "When did you last see a doctor?" Silence. "Mr. Porter, I stopped going." Michael's voice was flat. "When you can't afford the medicine they prescribe, there's no point in getting prescriptions." Marcus felt anger rising in his chest. "There are programs, assistance, veteran services." Michael laughed. It was a terrible sound, hollow and broken. I've applied to every program. I've filled out every form. I've made every phone call I could make before my voice gave out. He looked at Marcus with eyes that had stopped hoping a long time ago. You know what they told me. They told me to wait. Backlog, budget cuts, processing time. They told me help was coming. How long have you been waiting? 14 months. Michael closed his eyes. 14 months of waiting for help that never comes. Lily crawled onto the couch beside her father, curling into his side. Shadow repositioned himself at their feet, his big body covering them both like a living blanket. I'm sorry, Michael whispered. I'm sorry you had to see this. I tried to hide it. I tried to keep her safe, to keep her fed, to keep her warm. Daddy. Lily's voice was muffled against his chest. It's okay. It's not okay. Tears slid down Michael's hollow cheeks. I was supposed to take care of you. I was supposed to be strong. That's what fathers do. That's what police officers do. You are strong, Daddy. I can't even keep the lights on, baby girl. His voice broke. I can't even feed you. What kind of father can't feed his own child? Shadow lifted his head and licked Michael's hand. The same gesture he'd made thousands of times during their partnership. Comfort. Reassurance. I'm here. You're not alone. Michael sobbed. Marcus felt something snap inside him. Mr. Porter, he said firmly. Look at me. Michael raised his eyes. I'm not leaving this house until I figure out how to help you. I don't care what it takes. I don't care what rules I have to bend. You served this city for 20 years. Shadow saved more lives than anyone can count. And Lily. He looked at the little girl curled against her father's chest. Lily has been trying to save both of you by herself. Michael's face contorted with confusion. What do you mean? She's been hiding your bills, skipping meals so you and Shadow can eat, sitting outside in the freezing cold every day. Lily. Michael's voice filled with horror. What is he talking about? Lily burst into tears. I didn't want you to worry, Daddy. I didn't want you to feel bad. I just wanted to help. Michael wrapped his weak arms around his daughter, holding her against his chest. Shadow pressed closer, covering them both with his warmth. I'm sorry. Michael's voice broke. I'm sorry I couldn't do more. I'm sorry I couldn't be stronger. You don't have to be sorry, Marcus said quietly. You just have to let someone help. Michael looked at him with eyes that had forgotten how to trust. Why? He asked hoarsely. Why do you care? Marcus was silent for a moment. Then he spoke a truth he'd never told anyone. 3 years ago, I had a partner too, a K9 named Ranger. We worked together for 4 years. Best dog I ever knew. Shadow's ears perked up at the mention of another K9. What happened to him? Lily asked softly. Marcus's jaw tightened. He died. In my arms. During a chase. I couldn't save him. The room went quiet. I've blamed myself every day since then. I left the K9 unit because I couldn't face working with another dog. I couldn't face another partner. He looked at Shadow. The dog met his gaze steadily. But today, I found Lily, trying to sell the only thing she had left because she loves you and Shadow more than her own life. And I realized something. What? Michael whispered. I realized that maybe I couldn't save Ranger, but maybe I can save Shadow. Maybe I can save you. Maybe I can save Lily. Marcus's voice hardened with resolve. And maybe that's why I was supposed to be driving past that cemetery this morning. Maybe this is the second chance I've been waiting for. Michael stared at him. Lily stared at him. Shadow's tail began to wag again. I don't deserve a second chance, Michael said quietly. Neither did I. Marcus knelt beside the couch. But here we are. The moment stretched between them. Two broken men, one brave little girl, one loyal dog. Then Michael reached out his hand. Marcus took it. "Help us," Michael whispered. "Please." Marcus nodded. "I will." Shadow barked once. Sharp, clear. The sound echoed through the cold, dark house like a promise. And somewhere in the distance, just barely audible, the sound of wind chimes rang in the frozen air. Night fell hard and fast. The temperature dropped another 10 degrees. Inside the porterhouse, Marcus had found what blankets remained and wrapped them around Michael, Lily, and Shadow. He'd given them the emergency protein bars from his patrol car. He'd called every number he knew. But every call ended the same way. "I'm sorry, Officer Webb. Our shelter is at capacity. The Veterans Assistance Program has a 14-month waiting list. Medical aid requires pre-approval. Processing time is 8 to 12 weeks. We recommend contacting social services." Social services told him to contact everyone he'd already contacted. Marcus stood in the kitchen, phone pressed to his ear, listening to another automated voice explain another bureaucratic dead end. His hands shook with frustration. "This is wrong," he muttered. "This is so wrong." He hung up and walked back to the living room. Michael had drifted into an exhausted sleep. Lily sat beside him, holding his hand. Shadow lay across their feet, his eyes open, watching. "Nobody can help, can they?" Lily asked quietly. Marcus didn't want to lie to her. "Not tonight. But I'm not giving up. Daddy called them all, too. For months. They never helped." "I know." Marcus sat down on the floor beside her. "But I'm going to keep calling. And if calling doesn't work, I'm going to show up in person. And if showing up doesn't work..." He stopped. "I don't know. But I'm not stopping." Lily studied his face for a long moment. "You're different. Different how most grown-ups say they'll help, but then they forget. Or they stop. Or they say there's nothing they can do." She tilted her head. "But you're still here." "I'm still here." Shadow lifted his head. His ears rotated toward the couch, Marcus noticed. "What is it, boy?" Shadow stood up slowly. His entire body went rigid. His nose twitched. His eyes locked onto Michael's face. Then he barked. Not a regular bark. A sharp, urgent, commanding bark. The kind Marcus had heard only during medical emergencies. The kind that meant danger is here and you need to act now. "Shadow." Lily's voice rose with fear. "What's wrong?" Shadow barked again, louder. He pushed his nose against Michael's chest, then looked at Marcus with desperate intensity. Marcus jumped to his feet. He leaned over Michael and saw it immediately. Michael's chest was barely moving. His breathing had become shallow, irregular. His lips had turned a deeper shade of blue. "Mr. Porter." Marcus shook his shoulder. "Michael, can you hear me?" Michael's eyes fluttered. He tried to respond, but only a weak wheeze escaped his lips. "He's in respiratory distress," Marcus said, his training kicking in. "Lily, grab your coat, now." Lily scrambled off the couch, tears streaming down her face. "Is Daddy going to die?" "Not if I can help it." Marcus pulled out his phone and dialed 911. "I need an ambulance immediately. Cedar Falls 847 Maple Street. Male patient, late 40s, severe respiratory distress. History of lung damage. Possible respiratory failure. He's barely breathing." Shadow stood over Michael's body, barking continuously, protecting him, warning the universe that his partner was slipping away. "Daddy!" Lily screamed. "Daddy, wake up!" Michael's eyes rolled back. His chest heaved once, then stopped. Marcus began CPR. "Come on, Michael. Stay with me. Lily needs you. Shadow needs you." He pressed down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Counted the compressions. Watched for any response. Shadow howled. A long, mournful sound that seemed to come from somewhere beyond the physical world. Sirens wailed in the distance, getting closer, but not close enough. "Come on!" Marcus pressed harder. "Don't you quit on me! Don't you quit on her!" Michael's chest shuddered. His mouth opened. A terrible, gasping breath filled his lungs. Marcus nearly collapsed with relief. "That's it. Keep breathing. Keep fighting." Red and blue lights flashed through the frosted windows. Doors slammed. Footsteps pounded up the porch stairs. The paramedics burst through the door, equipment in hand. "Male patient respiratory failure," Marcus reported rapidly. "I've been doing CPR. He's breathing again, but barely." The medics took over. They worked with practiced efficiency, attaching monitors, securing an oxygen mask, preparing the stretcher. Shadow refused to leave Michael's side. He paced beside the stretcher, whining, nudging, staying as close as the medics would allow. "He's a retired K-9, Marcus explained. "He's trained for this. He alerted me to the emergency." One of the medics glanced at Shadow with respect. "Good dog. Probably saved his life." They loaded Michael onto the stretcher. His eyes opened briefly, focusing on Lily's face. "Baby girl." His voice was barely audible through the oxygen mask. "I'm here, Daddy." Lily grabbed his hand. "I'm coming with you." Shadow. Michael's gaze found his partner. "Take care of her." Shadow barked once, sharp and clear. A promise. They wheeled the stretcher out to the ambulance. Marcus lifted Lily into the back, then looked at Shadow. "I'm sorry, boy. Dogs can't ride in ambulances." Shadow's ears flattened. He looked from Marcus to the ambulance to Lily, clearly torn. "I'll bring him to the hospital," Marcus promised Lily. "He won't be far behind." The ambulance doors closed. The sirens wailed. The vehicle pulled away into the frozen night. Shadow stood in the snow, watching it go. Then he turned to Marcus. "Come on, boy." Marcus opened his patrol car's back door. "Let's go save your family." Shadow jumped in without hesitation. As Marcus drove, he could see the dog in his rearview mirror staring at the road ahead. Waiting. Watching. Never giving up. The ambulance stayed in sight the entire way. Marcus followed close behind, lights flashing, heart pounding. Behind him, Shadow sat perfectly still. His eyes never left the ambulance. 18 miles to the hospital. 18 miles of ice-covered roads and falling snow, and the desperate hope that they hadn't done everything right just to lose Michael Porter anyway. When they finally pulled into the hospital bay, medics rushed Michael through the emergency doors. Lily ran after them, crying for her father. Marcus parked and let Shadow out. The dog immediately sprinted toward the hospital entrance. "Sir, you can't bring the dog in here," a security guard said. Marcus flashed his badge. "This is a retired K-9 officer. He just saved his handler's life. He's coming in." The guard hesitated, then stepped aside. Shadow burst through the doors and found Lily huddled in a plastic chair, sobbing into her hands. He pressed his body against her legs, resting his head in her lap. Marcus sat down beside them. "He's going to be okay, Lily." "You don't know that?" "No," Marcus admitted. "But Shadow knew something was wrong. He warned us in time. The medic said it probably saved your dad's life." Lily looked down at the dog. "You saved him again, Shadow. You always save him." Shadow licked her face, catching the tears as they fell. Hours passed. The emergency lights blinked. Doctors came and went. Nobody told them anything. Marcus bought Lily a hot chocolate from the vending machine. She held it in both hands, but didn't drink. Shadow stayed pressed against her side, alert to every sound, every movement. Finally, a doctor emerged. "Family of Michael Porter." Lily jumped up. Shadow stood at attention. Marcus stepped forward. "I'm the responding officer. This is his daughter." The doctor's face was tired, but not hopeless. "He's stable. His lung collapsed under the stress, but we were able to re-inflate it. He's going to need surgery to repair the underlying damage, but for now he's breathing on his own." Lily burst into fresh tears. "Can I see him?" "In a few minutes. He's asking for someone named Shadow." Marcus looked at the dog. Shadow's tail wagged for the first time in hours. "He's right here," Marcus said, "and he's not leaving." The doctor led them down a corridor that seemed to stretch forever. Lily clutched Marcus's hand with desperate strength. Shadow walked between them, his nails clicking against the tile floor, his eyes fixed on the door at the end of the hall. "He's weak," the doctor warned. "Don't overwhelm him. Short visit only." Marcus nodded. "Understood." The door opened. Michael lay in the hospital bed surrounded by monitors and tubes and machines that beeped in steady rhythm. His face was pale as paper. His eyes were closed. "Daddy," Lily whispered. Michael's eyes fluttered open. A weak smile crossed his cracked lips. "Hey, baby girl." Lily rushed forward and buried her face against his shoulder, crying so hard her whole body shook. Shadow jumped up, placing his front paws gently on the bed, his nose inches from Michael's face. "Hey, partner." Michael's trembling hand found Shadow's fur. "You saved me again, didn't you?" Shadow whined and licked his handler's cheek. "The doctor said you almost died, Daddy." Lily's voice was muffled against his hospital gown. "Almost isn't the same as did." Michael stroked her hair with fingers that barely had strength to move. "I'm still here. Still fighting." Marcus stood near the door, watching. Father and daughter and dog reunited by the thinnest of margins. He thought about walking away, giving them privacy, but something kept him rooted in place. Michael's eyes found him across the room. "Officer Webb." "Yes, sir." "Come here." Marcus approached the bed. Michael studied him for a long moment, then spoke in a voice raw with exhaustion. "Why did you stop?" Marcus frowned. "Sir, on the street, when you saw Lily." "Everyone else walked past her for 4 days. Why did you stop?" Marcus felt the weight of that question settle on his shoulders. He thought about giving a professional answer. Something about duty. Something about protocol. Instead, he told the truth. "Because she reminded me of someone I couldn't save." Michael's eyes sharpened despite his weakness. "Who?" "My partner, Ranger." Marcus swallowed hard. "He died 3 years ago. I held him while he bled out on the pavement. I've never forgiven myself." Lily looked up from her father's chest. Shadow's ears perked forward. "You were a K-9 handler?" Michael asked. 4 years. Ranger was my first and only partner. After he died, I transferred out. Couldn't face it anymore." Michael nodded slowly. "I know that feeling. When Shadow got hurt in the explosion, when I saw him limping through the fire with his leg broken, I thought I was going to lose him too. I thought I was going to have to watch my best friend die because I couldn't protect him." Shadow pressed his head against Michael's arm as if saying, "I'm still here." "But he saved you instead," Marcus said quietly. "He always does." Michael's voice cracked. "That's why this is so hard. Shadow has given me everything, and now I can't even give him food." "That's going to change," Marcus said firmly. Michael laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You sound like every social worker who ever made promises they couldn't keep." "I'm not a social worker." "Then what are you?" Marcus met his eyes. "I'm someone who doesn't quit." The silence stretched between them. Lily looked from her father to the officer, sensing something shifting in the air. Finally, Michael spoke. "Lily, can you take Shadow to get some water? There's a fountain down the hall." Lily hesitated. "Daddy, I don't want to leave you. Just for a minute, baby girl. Shadow's thirsty. I can hear it in his breathing. Lily nodded reluctantly. She slid off the bed and took Shadow's collar. The dog looked at Michael, clearly unwilling to leave. Go on, partner. I'll be here when you get back. Shadow whined once, then followed Lily out the door. The moment they were gone, Michael's composure cracked. She was selling him. His voice broke on the words. My baby girl was sitting in the freezing cold trying to sell my partner for $3. To save me? I know. Do you understand what that means? Tears spilled down Michael's hollow cheeks. She loves that dog. Shadow has protected her since she was 4 years old, and she was willing to give him up because I failed her, because I couldn't provide for my own family. You didn't fail anyone. I failed everyone. Michael's voice rose, triggering a coughing fit that left him gasping. When he recovered, his eyes were wild with grief. I was supposed to be the strong one. I was supposed to protect them. That's what cops do. That's what fathers do. And instead, my 8-year-old daughter has been hiding bills and skipping meals and freezing herself half to death, trying to fix problems I created. Marcus pulled a chair close to the bed and sat down. Mr. Porter. Michael. Listen to me. What? You didn't create these problems. The system did. You served this city for 20 years. Shadow served beside you. You both nearly died protecting strangers. And when you needed help, the system turned its back on you. Michael stared at him. That's not your failure. That's everyone else's. Then why does it feel like my failure? Because you're a good man. Good men always blame themselves first. Michael closed his eyes. A sob escaped his chest. I don't know how to fix this. I don't know how to get better. I don't even know if I can get better. You don't have to know right now. You just have to keep breathing. Keep fighting. Let someone else carry the weight for a while. Who? There's no one left. No family. No savings. No hope. Marcus leaned forward. There's me. Michael's eyes opened. You don't even know us. I know enough. I know you're a hero who got forgotten. I know your daughter would sell her soul to save you. I know Shadow would die before he let either of you down. That's not enough to build a miracle. Maybe not. Marcus stood up. But it's enough to start. The door opened. Lily returned with Shadow, who immediately jumped back onto the bed and settled against Michael's side. Daddy, are you okay? Lily asked, seeing his tear-streaked face. Michael pulled her close. I'm okay, baby girl. I'm just grateful. Grateful for what? He looked at Marcus over her head. Grateful that someone finally stopped. 2 hours later, Marcus sat in the hospital cafeteria phone, pressed to his ear, fighting a battle against bureaucracy. I understand there's a waiting list, but this is an emergency. The voice on the other end was polite but firm. Sir, everyone who contacts us has an emergency. We process applications in the order received. He's a decorated police officer. He nearly died tonight. I'm very sorry to hear that, but our protocols don't allow for exceptions. Marcus wanted to throw the phone across the room. Instead, he took a deep breath. What if I paid for the surgery myself just to buy time until his assistance comes through? Silence on the line. Sir, are you a family member? No. Then I'm afraid that's not possible. Hospital policy requires family authorization for major financial decisions. He doesn't have any family, just a daughter. She's 8 years old. More silence. Then, I'm sorry, Officer Webb. There's really nothing I can do. The line went dead. Marcus stared at his phone. 3 hours of calls. 17 rejections. The same story over and over. We're sorry, we can't help. Try someone else. He stood up and walked back toward Michael's room. Halfway there, his phone buzzed. A text from dispatch. Webb, your shift ended 6 hours ago. Everything okay? Marcus typed back. Personal emergency, taking tomorrow off. He pocketed the phone and kept walking. When he reached the room, he found something unexpected. An older woman stood in the doorway blocking his path. She was small, maybe 75, with silver hair pulled back in a tight bun. Her eyes were red from crying. "Excuse me," Marcus said. "I need to get in there." The woman didn't move. "Are you the officer who brought them in?" "Yes, ma'am." Her face crumpled. "Oh, thank God. Thank God someone finally helped them." Marcus frowned. "Do you know Michael Porter?" "Know him." The woman laughed through her tears. "He saved my grandson's life." Marcus felt something shift in his chest. "What do you mean?" "6 years ago. My grandson was kidnapped. He was only 4. The police searched for 3 days. Everyone said to give up hope." She wiped her eyes. "But Michael didn't give up. He and Shadow tracked that monster through the woods for 18 hours. They found Tyler in an abandoned cabin, half dead from cold and fear." Her voice broke. "Michael carried my grandson out on his shoulders. Shadow walked beside them, protecting them the whole way. When Michael put Tyler in my arms, he said, 'Ma'am, your boy is strong. He's going to be okay.'" Marcus didn't know what to say. "I've tried to find Michael ever since to thank him properly, but he moved, changed his number. I had no way to reach him." She grabbed Marcus's arm. "When I saw the news about a K-9 officer in critical condition, I came straight here. I had to know if it was him." "How did you know it was him?" "I didn't. Not until I walked past the room and saw Shadow lying on the bed." Her grip tightened. "I'd recognize that dog anywhere. He looked at me with those eyes and I knew." Marcus glanced into the room. Michael was asleep. Lily was curled beside him. Shadow lifted his head and stared at the woman in the doorway. His tail began to wag. "He remembers me," the woman whispered. Marcus made a decision. "Ma'am, what's your name?" "Eleanor. Eleanor Whitman." "Eleanor, I think you might be exactly what this family needs right now." Eleanor's eyes widened. "What do you mean?" "Michael needs surgery, expensive surgery. The hospital won't let me pay because I'm not family. But you have a connection, a debt. I'd give anything to help them." Marcus took her hand. "Then let's go talk to the billing department." 30 minutes later, Marcus watched Eleanor Whitman sign papers authorizing emergency payment for Michael Porter's surgery. "The total comes to $85,000, the billing administrator said. "Are you certain you want to proceed?" Eleanor didn't hesitate. "That man gave me back my grandson. This is the least I can do." Marcus felt something loosen in his chest. The first real breakthrough in hours. "When can they operate?" he asked. "Tomorrow morning, assuming his vitals stay stable overnight." Eleanor turned to Marcus. "I want to see him. I want him to know he's not alone." They walked back to the room together. Michael was awake now, Lily showing him pictures she'd drawn on napkins from the cafeteria. "This one is Shadow," she was saying. "And this one is you. And this one is Officer Marcus." Michael smiled weakly. "That's beautiful, baby girl." His eyes lifted as Marcus and Eleanor entered. He frowned, clearly not recognizing the older woman. "Michael Porter," Eleanor said softly. "You probably don't remember me." "I'm sorry, ma'am. My memory isn't what it used to be." 6 years ago, Tyler Whitman, the cabin in the woods. Michael's face changed. His eyes widened. "Mrs. Whitman." Eleanor rushed forward and took his hand. "You saved my grandson. You brought him home to me. And now I'm going to help bring you home to your daughter." Michael looked at Marcus, stunned. "How did you—" "She found us," Marcus said. "She's been looking for you for 6 years." Tears spilled down Michael's face. I don't understand. Why would you help me? Eleanor squeezed his hand. Because heroes don't deserve to be forgotten. And because you taught me something important that day in the woods. What? You taught me that miracles happen when good people refuse to give up. She smiled through her tears. Now it's my turn to prove you right. Shadow jumped off the bed and walked to Eleanor. He pressed his head against her hip-tail, wagging slowly. He remembers you, Lily said softly. I remember him too. Eleanor stroked Shadow's ears. He's the reason Tyler is alive today. Michael tried to speak, but his voice failed him. He reached for his daughter instead, pulling her close, holding her like she was the only thing keeping him anchored to the world. Marcus stepped back, watching the scene unfold. A family broken by neglect. A stranger bound by gratitude. A dog who had saved lives and was still saving them even in retirement. This wasn't over, not by a long shot. But for the first time since that morning, Marcus felt something he hadn't expected. Hope. The night wore on. Eleanor stayed in a chair by Michael's bedside, refusing to leave. Lily fell asleep with her head on her father's chest. Shadow curled at their feet. Marcus stood by the window watching snow fall on the parking lot below. His phone buzzed again. This time a number he didn't recognize. He answered quietly. Webb. Officer Webb. This is Sergeant Major Reynolds from the Cedar Falls Veterans Association. Marcus stepped into the hallway. Yes, sir. How did you get this number? A woman named Eleanor Whitman called us. She said there's a K-9 veteran in the hospital. One of ours. Marcus closed his eyes. Michael Porter, 20 years on the force. Nearly died tonight. I know, Michael. Reynolds' voice was heavy. Damn good cop. Damn good handler. When he retired, we tried to reach out, but he fell off the grid. He was too proud to ask for help. That sounds like Michael. Reynolds paused. Listen, Officer Webb. We're mobilizing. By morning, we'll have a team at the hospital. We're going to make sure Michael and his daughter are taken care of. All of them. Including Shadow. Marcus felt his throat tighten. Thank you, sir. Don't thank me. Thank Mrs. Whitman. She woke up half the veterans in this county with her phone calls tonight. Marcus glanced back through the window. Eleanor was still there, still watching over the family she'd waited 6 years to find. One more thing, Reynolds said. The K-9 unit heard about Shadow. They want to do something special. What kind of special? You'll see tomorrow. Just make sure you're there. The line went dead. Marcus walked back into the room. Eleanor looked up. Good news, she whispered. The cavalry is coming. Eleanor smiled. About time. Marcus sat down in the chair beside her. For the first time in years, he felt like he was exactly where he was supposed to be. Not because of duty, not because of protocol, because sometimes the universe puts broken people in the same place so they can help each other heal. Shadow lifted his head and looked at Marcus. Those dark eyes held something that might have been gratitude, or recognition, or maybe just the quiet understanding that passes between those who have served and sacrificed and survived. Marcus nodded at the dog. Shadow's tail wagged once, then he lowered his head back to his paws. The snow kept falling outside the window. Inside the room, 3 humans and 1 dog slept the exhausted sleep of people who had finally stopped running from their pain. And somewhere in the distance, sirens wailed as the night shift continued its endless patrol through streets that held more broken heroes than anyone would ever know. Morning came too fast. Marcus hadn't slept. He'd spent the night watching monitors, checking Michael's breathing, making sure Lily stayed warm under the thin hospital blankets. At 6:15, the surgeon arrived. We're prepping for surgery in 45 minutes, Dr. Harrison announced. Mr. Porter. I need to explain the risks." Michael gripped Lily's hand. "Go ahead." "Your left lung has sustained significant damage. The tissue is scarred from the chemical exposure 18 months ago. We need to remove the damaged portion and repair what remains." "What are my chances?" Dr. Harrison hesitated. 70% survival rate. If the surgery is successful, you'll need months of rehabilitation. But you should regain most of your lung function. And if it fails, let's focus on success, Mr. Porter." Michael looked at his daughter. Lily's face was pale with fear, but she didn't cry. She was being brave for him. "Daddy's going to be fine," Michael whispered. "Right, Shadow?" Shadow lifted his head from the foot of the bed and barked once. Sharp, confident. "See?" Michael forced a smile. "Shadow says so." Eleanor stepped forward. "Michael, I'll stay with Lily the entire time. She won't be alone for a single second." "Thank you." Michael's voice cracked. "Thank you for everything." Marcus moved closer to the bed. "Sir, before you go in, there's something you should know." "What?" "The Veterans Association is sending people. The K-9 unit is organizing something. By the time you wake up, things are going to be different." Michael stared at him. "Why are you doing all this? You don't owe me anything." Marcus thought about Ranger, about the guilt he'd carried for 3 years, about the little girl sitting in the snow with a cardboard sign. "Maybe I'm not doing it for you," he said quietly. "Maybe I'm doing it for myself." Michael held his gaze for a long moment. Then he nodded. "Take care of my family, Officer Webb." "I will." The orderlies came to wheel Michael away. Lily threw herself at her father, hugging him with desperate strength. "I love you, Daddy. Please come back." "I love you too, baby girl. I'll always come back for you." Shadow jumped onto the bed and pressed his nose against Michael's cheek. A soft whine escaped his throat. "Hey, partner." Michael stroked Shadow's head one last time. "You take care of them. That's an order." Shadow barked. Then the orderlies pushed the bed through the doors, and Michael disappeared into the surgical wing. Lily burst into tears. Eleanor gathered her into her arms. "Shh, sweetheart. Your daddy is strong. He's going to fight." Shadow pressed against Lily's legs, whining softly. His eyes stayed fixed on the doors where his partner had vanished. Marcus put his hand on the dog's head. "He's coming back, boy. We have to believe that." Shadow didn't move, didn't wag his tail, just watched those doors like his whole world was on the other side. The waiting began. Marcus paced the corridor. Eleanor sat with Lily reading children's books from the hospital's collection. Shadow lay on the floor, unmoving his eyes, never leaving the surgical wing entrance. 1 hour passed. Then 2. At 9 o'clock, the doors at the end of the hall burst open. Marcus spun around, expecting news. It wasn't news. It was reinforcements. A group of men and women in military uniforms marched down the corridor. Leading them was a tall man with silver hair and a chest full of medals. "Officer Webb." He extended his hand. "Sergeant Major Reynolds. We spoke on the phone." Marcus shook his hand. "Thank you for coming." "Where's the family?" Marcus gestured toward the waiting area. Reynolds walked over and stopped in front of Eleanor and Lily. "You must be Lily." His voice was gentle, despite his commanding presence. Lily looked up with red-rimmed eyes. "Yes, sir?" "Your daddy served with some of our friends. We're here to make sure he has everything he needs when he wakes up." "He's still in surgery." "I know, and we'll wait as long as it takes." The veterans spread out through the waiting area. Some sat in chairs. Others stood at attention as if guarding the space. One woman, younger than the others, knelt beside Shadow. "Hey there, hero," she said softly. "I've heard a lot about you." Shadow's ears twitched, but he didn't take his eyes off the surgical doors. "He won't move," Lily explained. "He's waiting for Daddy." "That's a good partner." The woman stroked Shadow's fur. "The best partners never give up." At 10:30, Marcus's phone rang. A number he recognized. His captain. "Webb, where the hell are you?" "Memorial Hospital, sir." "You've been off-grid for almost 24 hours. What's going on?" Marcus stepped away from the group. "I found a situation, Captain. A retired K-9 officer and his daughter. They were in crisis. I couldn't walk away." Silence on the line. "Porter." The captain's voice changed. "Michael Porter. You know him. Know him. I trained with him at the academy. We lost touch years ago." A pause. "How bad is it?" "Bad. He's in surgery right now. His daughter was trying to sell his retired K-9 to buy him medicine." "Jesus." "The system failed him, Captain. Completely." Another long pause. Then, "Stay where you are. I'm on my way." The line went dead. Marcus returned to the waiting area. Reynolds looked up. "Everything okay?" "My captain is coming. He knows Michael." Reynolds nodded. "Word is spreading. By this afternoon, half the first responders in the county will know what happened to Michael Porter." "Is that a good thing?" "It's going to be. Trust me." At 11:15, the surgical doors finally opened. Everyone stood. Dr. Harrison walked toward them, removing his surgical cap. His face was unreadable. Lily grabbed Eleanor's hand. Shadow rose to his feet, every muscle tense. Marcus stepped forward. Doctor! Harrison looked at the crowd of veterans, the anxious little girl, the retired police dog, standing at attention. Something shifted in his expression. The surgery was successful. Lily screamed with joy. Eleanor burst into tears. The veterans erupted in cheers and applause. Shadow's tail wagged for the first time in hours. He barked 3 times, loud and triumphant. "He's going to need extensive recovery time," Dr. Harrison continued. "But the damaged tissue has been removed. His remaining lung tissue is responding well. With proper care, he should make a full recovery." Marcus felt his knees go weak with relief. "When can we see him?" "He'll be in post-op for a few hours. Family can visit after that." "I'm his family," Lily said firmly. "And so is Shadow, and so is Officer Marcus, and so is Mrs. Eleanor." Dr. Harrison smiled. "I can see he has a strong support team." "The strongest," Lily said. The afternoon brought more visitors than the hospital knew how to handle. First came Marcus's captain, a grizzled man named Thomas, who walked straight to Lily and knelt before her. "You're Michael's daughter?" "Yes, sir." "Your father saved my life once. Did you know that—" Lily shook her head. 15 years ago. We were chasing a suspect through a warehouse. I didn't see the guy hiding behind the door. Your dad did. He pushed me out of the way just before the gun went off." Thomas rolled up his sleeve, revealing a scar on his forearm. "The bullet hit me here instead of my heart. Your father took down the shooter while I was still on the ground." His voice thickened. "I've owed him my life ever since." Lily stared at the scar. "Daddy never told me." "That's because your daddy doesn't brag. He just does what's right." Next came a steady stream of police officers, firefighters, and emergency responders. Each one had a story. Each one owed Michael something. A paramedic whom Michael had shielded during a riot. A detective whom Michael had mentored through a tough case. A traffic cop whom Michael had covered for during a family emergency. By 3 o'clock, the waiting room was overflowing with people who had come to honor a man they thought the world had forgotten. Marcus stood against the wall, watching the crowd grow. Reynolds approached him. "This is what happens when good people find out the truth," Reynolds said. "They show up. I didn't expect this many. Michael touched a lot of lives. He just didn't know it." Reynolds looked at Lily, who was surrounded by admirers telling stories about her father. She's learning who her daddy really is. Yeah. Marcus swallowed the lump in his throat. She is. At 4 o'clock, the nurses finally allowed visitors into post-op. Only 3 could go at first. Lily, Eleanor, and Shadow. Marcus waited outside, listening through the partially open door. Daddy. Lily's voice was small, scared. A pause. Then Michael's voice, weak but present. Hey, baby girl. You came back. I told you I would. The sound of Lily crying. Then Shadow's bark, followed by Michael's exhausted laugh. Hey, partner. Did you keep them safe? A whine. A thump of a tail against the bed. Good boy. Best partner I ever had. Marcus turned away from the door. His eyes burned. Reynolds appeared beside him. You okay? Yeah. Marcus wiped his face quickly. Just allergies. Reynolds smiled knowingly. Sure, allergies. 20 minutes later, Lily emerged from the room and walked straight to Marcus. Daddy wants to see you. Marcus hesitated. Are you sure he should rest? He said it's important. Marcus walked into the recovery room. Michael lay propped up on pillows, tubes running from his arms, monitors beeping steadily. Shadow was curled beside him on the bed, despite every hospital regulation against animals in post-op. Eleanor sat in a chair, dabbing her eyes with a tissue. Officer Webb. Michael's voice was raspy, but stronger than it had been. Come here. Marcus approached the bed. How are you feeling? Like I got hit by a truck. Michael managed a weak smile. But alive, that's more than I expected this morning. You scared us. I scared myself. Michael reached out and gripped Marcus's wrist. They told me what you did. All of it. The calls, the paperwork, finding Eleanor, staying all night. I didn't do much. You did everything. Michael's grip tightened. You stopped. When everyone else kept walking, you stopped. Do you know how rare that is? Marcus didn't know what to say. I spent 18 months watching the world pass me by, Michael continued. Every day I got weaker. Every day I had less hope. I started to believe I was invisible, that my service meant nothing, that I would die alone in a cold house with my daughter crying and my partner starving. Michael, let me finish. Michael's eyes glistened. You saw us. Really saw us. Not as a problem to solve or a case to file. As people. As a family. Shadow lifted his head and looked at Marcus. You gave us back our hope, Michael whispered. I don't know how to repay that. You don't have to repay anything. Then let me do something else. Michael's voice strengthened. Let me tell you something important. What? Ranger's death wasn't your fault. Marcus felt the words hit him like a physical blow. I read about it, Michael continued. After the accident, I followed the story. I knew Ranger's handler was struggling. I tried to reach out, but I was dealing with my own problems. How do you know it wasn't my fault? Because I've lost partners before. Not to death, but to retirement, to injury, to the 1,000 small wounds that come with this job. Michael held his gaze. Every canine handler carries guilt. We ask these dogs to risk everything for us, and sometimes they pay the price. That's not failure. That's partnership. Marcus felt something crack inside him, something he'd been holding together for 3 years. I held him, Marcus said, his voice breaking. I held him while he died, and all I could think was that I should have been faster, should have seen the threat, should have protected him. You think I didn't feel the same way when Shadow got hurt? Michael shook his head. I carried him out of that burning building with my lungs on fire. Every step I thought I was going to drop him. Every breath I thought we were both going to die. And when we made it out, you know what Shadow did? What? He licked my face. Like I was the one who needed comfort. Like I was the one who'd been hurt. Michael's voice cracked. That's what partners do. They forgive us for the things we can't forgive ourselves. Marcus wiped his eyes. I don't know if I can let go. You don't have to let go all at once. You just have to take the first step. Michael looked at Shadow, then back at Marcus. And I think you already did, yesterday morning, when you stopped for a little girl and her dog. The door opened. Lily poked her head in. Daddy, there's a lot more people who want to see you. Michael smiled weakly. Send them in, but Officer Webb stays. Why, because he's family now. Lily's face lit up. She ran to Marcus and hugged his waist. Did you hear that you're family? Marcus looked down at her, then at Michael, then at Shadow. Yeah, he said softly. I heard. The rest of the day passed in a blur of visitors and well-wishes. Local news crews showed up. Someone started a GoFundMe page that raised $15,000 in the first 2 hours. But the moment that changed everything came at 6:30 in the evening. The K9 unit arrived. 12 handlers, 12 dogs, all in full dress uniform. They marched down the hospital corridor in formation, their dogs beside them, and stopped outside Michael's room. The lead handler, a woman named Sergeant Chen, stepped forward. Permission to enter. Michael, who had been moved to a regular room, looked up in shock. Granted. The unit filed in, filling the room with blue uniforms and loyal dogs. Shadow rose to his feet on the bed, tail wagging, recognizing old friends. Mr. Porter, Sergeant Chen said formally, on behalf of the Cedar Falls K9 unit, we're here to honor your service and your partner's service. She pulled a velvet box from her pocket and opened it. Inside was a gold medal, engraved on the front, K9, Hero of the Year. This medal was created 5 years ago, Chen explained. It was supposed to go to the handler and K9 who showed the most exceptional bravery in the line of duty, but we never awarded it. Why not? Because we were waiting for the right recipients. Chen smiled. We were waiting for you and Shadow. The room erupted in applause. Lily jumped up and down. Shadow barked excitedly. Michael stared at the medal, tears streaming down his face. We didn't know you were struggling, Chen continued. And that's our failure, not yours. From this day forward, the Cedar Falls K9 unit pledges to look after our own. No handler who serves with us will ever be forgotten again. She pinned the medal on Michael's hospital gown. Then she turned to Shadow. And for you, partner. She pulled out a second medal, smaller, designed to hang from a collar. The first K9 Medal of Valor ever awarded in this county's history. Shadow sat perfectly still as Chen attached the medal to his collar. When she finished, he barked once and licked her hand. The room cheered. Marcus stood in the corner watching. Lily ran to him and grabbed his hand. Look, Officer Marcus Shadow got a medal. I see that. Isn't it amazing? Marcus looked at the crowded room, at the veteran standing at attention, at Eleanor wiping happy tears, at Michael clutching his medal like it was made of pure gold, at Shadow sitting proud on the bed surrounded by his brothers and sisters in uniform. Yeah, Marcus said, it really is. But even as he smiled, a small voice in the back of his mind whispered that this wasn't the end. It was just the beginning, and somewhere in the chaos of joy and celebration, Shadow turned his head and looked directly at Marcus. Those dark eyes held a message. Stay close. The fight isn't over yet. 3 weeks passed. Michael grew stronger every day. The GoFundMe page crossed $100,000. Volunteers from the Veterans Association repaired his house, installed a new heating system, and stocked his pantry with enough food to last 6 months. But Marcus noticed something strange happening to himself. He couldn't stop visiting. Every morning before his shift, he drove to the hospital. Every evening after patrol, he stopped by Michael's room. He told himself it was just checking in, just making sure they were okay. But the truth was harder to admit. He needed them as much as they needed him. On the 23rd day, Dr. Harrison cleared Michael for discharge. Your lungs are healing remarkably well, the doctor said. I want you in physical therapy 3 times a week, no strenuous activity for at least 2 months, and absolutely no running into burning buildings." Michael laughed, then winced. "I think my building running days are over, Doc." "Good, because your daughter made me promise to keep you alive." Lily stood by the bed, arms crossed, looking fierce. "I did. And I meant it." Shadow barked in agreement. Dr. Harrison smiled. "You've got quite the support team, Mr. Porter. The best in the world." Marcus arrived just as the nurse wheeled Michael toward the exit. A crowd had gathered outside the hospital entrance. Police officers, firefighters, veterans, neighbors, complete strangers who had heard the story and wanted to be part of it. "What is all this?" Michael stared at the crowd. "Your welcome committee," Marcus said. Someone started clapping. Then another person. Then another. Within seconds, the entire crowd was applauding. Some cheered. Some whistled. A few wiped tears. Lily grabbed her father's hand. "They're all here for you, Daddy." Michael couldn't speak. His throat had closed with emotion. Shadow walked ahead, tail wagging, accepting the attention like the celebrity he'd become. Local news had run the story 3 times. National outlets had picked it up. The girl who tried to sell her father's police dog had touched hearts across the country. A woman stepped forward from the crowd. Marcus didn't recognize her. "Mr. Porter." She held a small box. "My name is Sarah Chen. My husband was trapped in a burning car 3 years ago. You and Shadow pulled him out. He lost his legs, but he's alive because of you." She opened the box. Inside was a gold watch. "This was my grandfather's. My husband wanted you to have it, to thank you for giving him more time with our children." Michael took the watch with trembling hands. "I remember that night. Your husband kept telling me to save Shadow first. He said the dog was more important." "That sounds like him." Sarah laughed through her tears. "He still talks about Shadow. He'll be so happy to know you're okay." One by one, people approached with gifts, with stories, with gratitude that had been waiting years for expression. A young man who Michael had talked out of suicide during a traffic stop. A grandmother whose lost Alzheimer's patient Michael and Shadow had tracked through the woods for 16 hours. A teenage girl whom Michael had protected during a domestic violence call when she was only 6. Each story hit Michael like a wave. Each one reminded him of moments he'd forgotten, moments he thought hadn't mattered. "I didn't know," he whispered to Marcus. "I didn't know any of them remembered. They never forgot. They just couldn't find you." "I was hiding." "I know." Marcus put a hand on his shoulder. "But you're not hiding anymore." The car ride home took 3 times longer than usual. Every few blocks, someone recognized them and honked. Some rolled down windows to wave. A group of kids on bikes chased them for 2 blocks, shouting, "Hero dog! Hero dog!" Shadow stuck his head out the window, ears flapping, tongue lolling. He loved the attention. Lily giggled. "Shadow thinks he's famous." "Shadow is famous," Michael said. "More famous than me." "That's because Shadow is cuter than you, Daddy." Michael pretended to be offended. "Excuse me, I'm very cute." "You're old and wrinkly." "I'm distinguished." Marcus laughed. It felt strange. He hadn't laughed like that in years. When they turned onto Maple Street, Michael gasped. His house was transformed, fresh paint, new windows, a repaired porch with sturdy railings. The yard was clean, the driveway was shoveled, and hanging from the porch was a banner that read, "Welcome home, heroes." "Oh my God," Michael's voice cracked. "The Veterans Association organized it," Marcus explained. "They had 70 volunteers working around the clock." 70. People wanted to help. You just had to let them. Michael stared at his house. The house where he'd almost died. The house where his daughter had learned to hide bills and skip meals. The house where hope had run out. It looked completely different now. It looked like home. Lily bounced in her seat. "Can we go inside? Can we? Marcus parked the car. Before Michael could open his door, Lily was already running up the new porch steps with Shadow racing beside her. "Daddy, come look!" Michael moved slowly, still weak from surgery. Marcus walked beside him, ready to catch him if he stumbled. "You don't have to babysit me," Michael said. "I know." "Then why are you still here?" Marcus thought about the question. "Because I don't have anywhere else I want to be." Michael stopped walking. He turned to face Marcus. "What happened to you?" he asked quietly. "Before you found Lily, what were you carrying?" Marcus felt the old familiar weight press against his chest. "You already know, Ranger. There's more than that. I can see it." Marcus looked away. The February wind bit at his face. "My wife left me 6 months after Ranger died," he said finally. "She said I wasn't the same person anymore. She said I'd shut down, pushed her away, refused to talk about what happened." "Was she right?" "Yeah, she was right about all of it." Marcus's jaw tightened. "I came home one day and found a note. She'd taken everything except the furniture. Said she couldn't watch me disappear anymore." "I'm sorry. Don't be. She deserved better than what I was giving her." Marcus forced a bitter smile. "After that I just worked. Patrol. Overtime. Anything to avoid going home to an empty apartment. Anything to avoid thinking." Michael was quiet for a long moment. "That's why you stopped for Lily." "What do you mean? You weren't just looking for someone to save. You were looking for a reason to keep going." Marcus felt the words hit somewhere deep. Somewhere he'd protected for 3 years. "Maybe," he admitted. "There's no maybe about it." Michael started walking again. "I know because I've been there. After the explosion, after my lungs gave out, after everything fell apart, I thought about ending it. More than once." Marcus's head snapped up. "Michael." "I had the plan, the pills, the note." Michael's voice was flat, but his eyes burned. "The only thing that stopped me was Lily. I couldn't leave her alone, but every day I got a little closer to not caring anymore." "Why didn't you tell anyone?" "Who would I tell? The hotlines put me on hold. The counselors had waiting lists. The VA told me to fill out more forms." Michael laughed without humor. "The system doesn't want to know when you're drowning. It just wants you to drown quietly." They reached the porch. Inside, Lily was running from room to room, shouting about new furniture and working lights and a refrigerator full of food. "But you're still here," Marcus said, "because you stopped." Michael turned to face him. "Because a stranger looked at my daughter in the snow and decided she mattered. That Shadow mattered. That I mattered. You do matter. I know that now. But 3 weeks ago I'd forgotten. I'd convinced myself the world would be better without me, that Lily would find a new family, that Shadow would find a new home." Michael's eyes filled with tears. "You reminded me that I was wrong." Marcus didn't know what to say. "So here's what we're going to do," Michael continued. "We're going to stop pretending this is temporary. You're not just an officer who helped once. You're part of this family now. And families don't walk away from each other." "Michael, I can't just—" "Yes, you can. You've been coming here every day for 3 weeks. You light up when Lily hugs you. You talk to Shadow like he understands every word. You belong here, Marcus, whether you're ready to admit it or not." Lily appeared in the doorway. "Daddy, there's a TV in my room, a real TV?" Michael smiled. "That's great, baby girl. And Shadow has a new bed with his name on it." Shadow barked proudly and ran past them into the house. "Coming?" Michael asked Marcus. Marcus looked at the freshly painted door, at the warm light spilling out, at the little girl dancing with excitement, and the dog whose tail hadn't stopped wagging since they arrived. "Yeah," he said, "I'm coming." The first week in the renovated house passed quickly. Marcus became a constant presence. He drove Lily to school. He helped Michael with his physical therapy exercises. He took Shadow for long walks when the dog's energy exceeded what Michael could handle. One evening, while Lily did homework at the kitchen table and Michael rested on the couch, Marcus's phone rang. It was Sergeant Chen from the K9 unit. "Officer Webb, do you have a moment?" "Of course." "I've been watching you these past few weeks. The way you are with Shadow. The way you handle yourself around the K9 handlers." She paused. "I think you're ready." "Ready for what?" "To come back." Marcus felt his heart stop. "Sergeant, I left the K9 unit 3 years ago. I can't. Can't or won't." He didn't answer. "I have a puppy," Chen continued. "German Shepherd, 10 months old. Her name is Hope. She needs a handler, someone experienced, someone who understands loss, someone who knows how to love a partner without holding back." "I don't know if I can do that again." "I think you already are. Every time you look at Shadow, I see it. You're not afraid of dogs anymore. You're afraid of losing another one." Marcus closed his eyes. "Hope needs you," Chen said, "and I think you need her too." "Can I think about it? Take all the time you need. But Marcus, don't let fear make this decision for you. You've already proven you're stronger than that." The line went dead. Marcus stared at his phone for a long time. "Who was that?" He turned. Michael was watching him from the couch. "Sergeant Chen, from the K9 unit." "What did she want?" Marcus hesitated. "She wants me to come back. There's a puppy named Hope. She needs a handler." Michael's expression didn't change. "And what do you want?" "I don't know." "Yes, you do. You're just scared to admit it." Marcus sat down heavily. "What if I fail again? What if Hope dies because I make a mistake? I can't go through that again. I can't." "You can't go through it, or you can't risk going through it. What's the difference?" "The difference is everything." Michael sat up slowly, wincing at the effort. "You've spent 3 years avoiding pain, avoiding connection, avoiding anything that could hurt you. And where did it get you? Alone." "Exactly. Alone and empty and wondering why you bothered getting out of bed." Michael's voice hardened. "That's not living. That's just existing." "Easy for you to say. You have Lily, you have Shadow, you have reasons to keep going." "I almost gave up on all of them. Remember, I was ready to die, to leave my daughter an orphan, to abandon the best partner I ever had." Michael leaned forward. "You saved me from that. Now let me save you." Marcus felt tears burning behind his eyes. "I don't know how to start over." "You already started. The moment you stopped for Lily. The moment you decided to care. The moment you chose to be part of this family instead of walking away." Shadow padded over and put his head in Marcus's lap. Those dark eyes looked up at him with something like understanding. "He knows," Michael said softly. "Dogs always know. Shadow can sense that you're ready, even if you can't." Marcus stroked Shadow's fur. "What if I mess it up? Then you learn. You grow. You try again. That's what partners do. That's what family does." Lily appeared in the doorway, her homework finished. "What are you guys talking about?" "Officer Marcus might get a new partner," Michael said. Lily's face lit up. "A dog like Shadow. A puppy. Her name is Hope." "Hope? Lily ran to Marcus and grabbed his hands. "You have to say yes, please. Then our family will have 2 dogs." "Our family?" Lily looked at him like he was being ridiculous. "Of course our family. You're part of our family now. Didn't you know?" Marcus looked at her. At Michael. At Shadow. Something broke loose inside him. Something that had been frozen for 3 years. "Yeah," he said, his voice cracking. "I guess I am." The next morning, Marcus called Sergeant Chen. "I'll do it. I'll meet Hope." "I was hoping you'd say that. Can you come to the training facility this afternoon?" "I'll be there." He hung up and found Lily waiting behind him, Shadow at her side. "Are you nervous?" she asked. "Terrified." "That's okay. Daddy says being scared means you care about something." She took his hand. "Can I come with you? I want to meet Hope." Marcus looked at Michael, who had just entered the room. "Field trip?" Michael asked. "If you're up for it." "Try to stop me." And 3 hours later, they stood outside the K9 training facility. Marcus's hands were shaking. "Ready?" Michael asked. "No." "Good. That means this matters." They walked inside together. Sergeant Chen met them in the lobby. "Officer Webb, Mr. Porter, and you must be Lily." "I'm here to meet Hope," Lily announced. Chen smiled. "She's been waiting for you, all of you." She led them down a corridor lined with kennels. Dogs barked and wagged and pressed against their gates. Shadow walked calmly beside Michael, ignoring the commotion with professional dignity. They reached the last kennel. Chen stopped. "Here she is." Marcus looked through the gate. A German Shepherd puppy sat in the center of the kennel. She was beautiful. Dark fur with golden markings. Bright, intelligent eyes. She wasn't barking like the other dogs. She was watching. Waiting. Assessing. Just like Ranger used to do. "She's special," Chen said. "Most puppies bounce off the walls. Hope is different. She observes, she thinks, she connects." Marcus knelt down to Hope's level. Their eyes met. Something passed between them. Something Marcus couldn't explain. Hope stood up. She walked to the gate. She pressed her nose against the wire, sniffing Marcus's fingers. Then she sat back down and wagged her tail. Once. Just once. But it was enough. "She chose you," Chen said softly. "I've never seen her do that before." Marcus felt tears streaming down his face. He didn't try to stop them. "Can I open the gate?" he asked. "She's yours, Officer Webb. Do whatever you want." Marcus opened the gate. Hope walked out, calmly sat at his feet, and looked up at him. "Hi, Hope," Marcus whispered. Hope leaned against his leg. Lily knelt beside them. "She's perfect." Shadow approached slowly. He and Hope touched noses. A moment passed. Then Shadow licked the puppy's face once and stepped back. "Approval granted," Michael said with a smile. Marcus wrapped his arms around Hope. She pressed into his chest, warm and trusting and full of life. "I'm going to take care of you," he promised. "I'm going to do better this time, I swear." Hope's tail wagged against the floor. Chen put a hand on Marcus's shoulder. "Welcome back, Officer Webb. The K9 unit has missed you." Marcus looked up at Michael, at Lily, at Shadow. "Thank you," he said, "for everything." Michael nodded. That's what family does, Washington, D.C. Hit them like a wave. Lily pressed her face against the airplane window as they descended. "Daddy, look, the Washington Monument." Michael leaned over to see still moving carefully to protect his healing lungs. "Beautiful, isn't it? Shadow's going to be famous in the whole country now." Shadow lay calmly at their feet, unbothered by the flight. Hope, still learning airplane etiquette, had spent most of the journey with her head in Marcus's lap. "You okay?" Michael asked Marcus quietly. "Nervous. About the ceremony. About everything." Marcus stroked Hope's ears. "I've never been good at being recognized. I prefer staying in the background." "Too late for that now." The airport was chaos. News cameras surrounded them the moment they stepped off the plane. Reporters shouted questions. Photographers snapped pictures. Security guards formed a protective circle around the group. "Reporter, how does it feel to have Shadow honored by the president? Officer Webb, can you tell us about rescuing the Porter family?" "Lily, are you excited to visit the White House?" Lily waved at every camera. Shadow walked with dignified calm. Hope stuck close to Marcus, overwhelmed by the noise. "Just keep moving," Marcus muttered. They reached the SUV waiting at the curb. A woman in a sharp navy suit held the door open. "Mr. Porter, Officer Webb, I'm Captain Diana Ross, liaison for the National K-9 Foundation." She shook their hands firmly. "Welcome to Washington." "Thank you for having us," Michael said. "Thank you for your service, both of you." Diana's eyes moved to Shadow. "And especially you, hero. The president is very excited to meet you." Shadow's tail wagged once. "He knows," Lily said proudly. "Shadow always knows." The hotel suite was bigger than Michael's entire house. Lily ran from room to room, testing every bed opening, every drawer. Shadow followed her, patiently checking each space for threats out of pure habit. Hope stayed glued to Marcus, still adjusting to her new role. "This is insane," Marcus said, staring at the chandelier. "They're treating us like royalty." "We're guests of honor," Michael replied. "For once the system is working in our favor." A knock at the door interrupted them. Diana entered with a tablet in hand. "Gentlemen, we need to go over tomorrow's schedule. The ceremony begins at 10. You'll be escorted to the East Room at 9:30 for preparation." "The East Room?" Lily's eyes went wide. "That's where they have the Christmas parties." "Correct. The president will present Shadow's medal personally. There will be speeches, photographs, and a reception afterward." Diana looked at Marcus. "Officer Webb, you'll be standing beside Shadow during the presentation." "Me? Shouldn't Michael be there?" "Mr. Porter will be seated in the front row as Shadow's handler of record. But the foundation specifically requested your presence on stage." Diana smiled. "Your action saved this family. The country deserves to know that." Marcus felt heat rise to his face. "I just did what anyone would do." "No," Diana said firmly. "You did what very few people would do. That's why we're here." That night, Marcus couldn't sleep. He stood on the balcony watching the city lights spread below. Hope sat beside him, sensing his restlessness. "Can't sleep either." Michael joined him, moving slowly in the cold air. "Too much in my head," Marcus admitted. "Want to talk about it?" Marcus was quiet for a long moment. 3 months ago, I was driving patrol alone. Empty apartment, empty life, just counting days until retirement. And now I have a dog, a family, an invitation to the White House. Marcus shook his head. "It doesn't feel real." "It's real." Michael leaned against the railing. "I know, because I feel the same way. 3 months ago, I was ready to die. Now I'm about to watch my partner receive a medal from the president. How do you make sense of it?" "I don't try. I just accept it." Michael looked at him. "Life doesn't always make sense. Sometimes terrible things happen to good people. Sometimes miracles happen to broken people. The trick is being grateful for the miracles without questioning them." Hope pressed closer to Marcus's leg. "She loves you," Michael said. "I love her too. Does that scare you?" Marcus thought about Ranger, about the guilt he'd carried for 3 years, about the fear that still lurked in the shadows of his heart. Yeah, he admitted. It terrifies me. Good. Michael put a hand on his shoulder. That means you're living again. The morning of the ceremony dawned clear and cold. Lily wore a new dress blue with white trim. Michael wore his old police dress uniform carefully altered to fit his thinner frame. Marcus wore his formal blues for the first time in 3 years. Shadow had been groomed to perfection. His K9 Medal of Valor gleamed on his collar. Hope stayed at the hotel with a handler. She was too young for formal ceremonies. "Ready?" Diana asked at the door. Lily grabbed her father's hand. "Ready." The White House was everything Lily had dreamed. She tried to stay calm, but her excitement leaked out in small squeals and wide eyes. Shadow walked beside her, calm and professional, guiding her through the crowds with gentle nudges. "This way," Diana directed. They entered the East Room through a side door. Rows of chairs faced a small stage. Cameras lined the back. Reporters filled the press section. And in the front row, a surprise waited. "Eleanor!" Lily shouted. Eleanor Whitman stood up, arms open wide. "Hello, sweetheart." Lily ran into her embrace. "You came. I wouldn't miss this for the world." Eleanor's eyes glistened. None of us would. Michael looked past her and felt his breath catch. The entire front section was filled with familiar faces. Captain Thomas from the Cedar Falls Police Department, Sergeant Chen, and the K9 unit handlers. Sarah Mitchell and her husband Tom, the man Michael had pulled from the burning car. The teenage boy from the bridge. The elderly woman whose husband Michael had found in the woods. Dozens of people whose lives Michael and Shadow had touched. "What is this?" Michael whispered. "Your family," Diana said. "The Foundation tracked down everyone you helped. They all wanted to be here." Michael's knees went weak. Marcus caught his arm. "Easy," Marcus said. "I've got you." "I didn't know. I didn't know any of them would come. They've been waiting for years to say thank you. Today they finally can." A door opened at the back of the room. The crowd rose. The President of the United States walked in. He was shorter than Marcus expected. Grayer. But his presence filled the room instantly. "Please be seated," the President said warmly. "Except for our guests of honor. Shadow Officer Webb, please join me on stage." Marcus's heart hammered. He walked forward with Shadow at his side. The dog moved with perfect discipline, as if he'd been born for this moment. They took their positions beside the President. "Ladies and gentlemen," the President began, "we gather today to honor extraordinary courage, not the courage of politicians or generals, the courage of those who serve on the front lines asking nothing in return." He turned to Shadow. "This remarkable dog served the Cedar Falls Police Department for 7 years. He tracked criminals through impossible terrain. He detected explosives that would have killed dozens. He saved his handler's life not once, but twice." The crowd murmured with appreciation. "But Shadow's greatest act of heroism wasn't in the line of duty. It happened 3 months ago in a hospital room, when he sensed that his handler was dying. His alert saved Michael Porter's life for the 3rd time." Michael wiped his eyes in the front row. Lily clung to his arm. The President lifted the Congressional K9 Medal of Honor. "Shadow for extraordinary valor, unwavering loyalty, and selfless service to your community and your nation. I present you with the highest honor a K9 can receive." He bent down and attached the medal to Shadow's collar. Shadow sat perfectly still. Then he lifted his paw. The President laughed and shook it. "It's an honor to meet you, hero." The crowd erupted in applause, but the President wasn't finished. "There's another hero here today, one who didn't wear a badge when he made his choice, one who simply saw a child in need and refused to walk away." He turned to Marcus. Officer Marcus Webb was off duty when he found 8-year-old Lily Porter sitting in the snow trying to sell her father's retired K9 for $3. He could have kept driving. He could have called someone else. He could have followed protocol. The president's voice hardened with emotion. Instead, he stopped. He listened. He cared. And in doing so, he saved not just one life, but 3. Marcus felt tears streaming down his face. He didn't try to stop them. Officer Webb, for your compassion, your dedication, and your refusal to give up on a family in crisis, the National K9 Foundation presents you with the Civilian Hero Award. A medal was pressed into Marcus's hands, gold and blue, heavy with meaning. The crowd rose to their feet, applauding. Marcus looked at Michael, at Lily, at Shadow, at the family he'd never expected to find. "Thank you," he managed to say. "But I'm not the hero here. The hero is an 8-year-old girl who loved her father enough to break her own heart." He pointed to Lily. She sat in the freezing cold for 4 days, waiting for someone to stop. 4 days while the world walked past. She didn't give up. She didn't stop believing, and because of her courage, her father is alive today. The crowd turned to look at Lily. "Lily Porter, please come up here." Lily's eyes went wide. "Me, you," the president said warmly. Michael nudged her forward. "Go on, baby girl. You earned this." Lily walked to the stage on trembling legs. Shadow met her halfway, pressing against her side, guiding her like he'd done since she was 4 years old. She stood between Marcus and the president, looking impossibly small. The president knelt to her level. "Young lady, you showed more courage than most adults will ever have. You tried to sacrifice everything you loved to save your family. That's the definition of a hero." He pulled something from his pocket. A small pin shaped like a star. "This is the Junior Hero pin. It's given to children who demonstrate extraordinary bravery. I can't think of anyone who deserves it more." He pinned it to her dress. Lily burst into tears. "I just wanted to save my daddy," she sobbed. "You did save him." The president pulled her into a hug. "You saved all of them." The room wept. Every camera captured the moment. Every heart broke and healed simultaneously. Michael stood in the front row, crying openly, surrounded by strangers who had become family. Eleanor gripped his hand. "She's remarkable." "She's everything," Michael whispered. "She's absolutely everything." After the ceremony, they gathered for the reception. Politicians and dignitaries approached to shake hands, but Marcus noticed Michael pulling away from the crowd. He followed. Michael stood near a window staring out at the rose garden. "You okay?" Michael nodded slowly. "I was just thinking about that morning. The morning Lily went out in the snow. What about it? I woke up and she was gone. Shadow was gone. I thought." His voice cracked. "I thought they'd left me. I thought they'd finally given up. They never gave up. I know that now. But in that moment, lying in that freezing house, barely able to breathe, I thought God had finally taken the last things I loved." Michael turned to face Marcus. "Then you brought them home. You brought everything home. And I realized something." "What?" "I realized that I'd been so busy dying that I'd forgotten how to live." Tears streamed down his face. "Lily was fighting for me every single day. Shadow was guarding me with his last breath, and I was ready to give up on both of them. Michael, you gave me a second chance, not just to survive, to be the father Lily deserves, to be the partner Shadow earned, to be the man I used to be." He gripped Marcus's arm. "I'm not going to waste it. I swear to God, I'm not going to waste a single day." Marcus pulled him into a hug. "Neither am I." They held each other, two broken men, who had found something worth living for. Lily ran up with Shadow at her heels. "Daddy, Officer Marcus. They want to take a family picture." She grabbed both their hands and pulled them toward the photographer. "Come on. All of us, you too, Shadow." They stood together in front of the White House seal, Michael in the center, Lily beside him, Marcus on the other side, Shadow sitting proudly at their feet. The photographer raised his camera. "Okay, everyone." Big smiles. Marcus looked at the family surrounding him, the family that had adopted him without question, the family that had taught him how to hope again. He smiled. The camera flashed. 6 months later, Marcus stood outside the K-9 training facility watching Hope graduate from her certification program. She was no longer a puppy. She had grown into a magnificent animal, intelligent, and focused, ready to serve. "Officer Webb, your partner is ready," Sergeant Chen announced. Marcus knelt beside Hope. She pressed her forehead against his. "We're going to do good things together," he whispered. "I promise." Hope's tail wagged. Michael and Lily watched from the stands, Shadow sitting between them. "He's happy," Lily said. "Really happy." "He earned it," Michael replied. "We all did." When Marcus walked over with Hope, Lily threw her arms around both of them. "Now our family has 2 K-9 officers." Shadow approached Hope. They touched noses again, the same greeting they'd shared 6 months ago. But this time Shadow's tail wagged freely. "Welcome to the team." "Family photo time," Lily announced. They gathered together. Michael and Lily in the center, Marcus beside them, Shadow and Hope sitting at attention in front. A passing stranger offered to take the picture. "Beautiful family," she said. "Are you all related?" Michael looked at Marcus. Marcus looked at Lily. Lily looked at the dogs. "Yes," they said together. "We are." The stranger smiled and raised the phone. "Say heroes, heroes." The camera clicked. 1 year later, Michael stood at a podium in Cedar Falls City Hall. The room was packed with veterans police officers and community members. A banner hung behind him. Porter Foundation for Forgotten Heroes. "When I almost died," Michael began, "I thought I was alone. I thought the system had forgotten me. I thought no one cared whether I lived or died." He looked at the crowd. "I was wrong. I was so wrong." He pointed to Eleanor in the front row. "A woman I'd helped 6 years earlier paid for my surgery without being asked." He pointed to the K-9 unit. "My brothers and sisters in blue came running the moment they heard I was in trouble." He pointed to Marcus, who sat with Hope at his feet. "A stranger stopped on a frozen road because he saw a little girl who needed help." His voice strengthened. "I learned something important this year. Heroes don't fail when they need help. Heroes fail when they're too proud to accept it." The crowd murmured in agreement. "That's why I started this foundation. So no veteran, no first responder, no K-9 handler ever has to face their darkest moments alone. Because every hero deserves someone who will stop, someone who will listen, someone who will care." He looked directly at Marcus. "Someone like the man who saved my family." The crowd rose to their feet, applauding. Marcus stood too, Hope pressing against his leg. Lily ran to the stage and threw her arms around her father. "I'm proud of you, Daddy. I'm proud of you, baby girl. I'm proud of all of us." Shadow barked once from his place of honor beside the podium. Michael laughed through his tears. "And I'm proud of you too, partner. Always." That evening they gathered at Michael's house for dinner. The table was full. Michael at the head, Lily beside him, Marcus across, Eleanor at the other end, Captain Thomas, Sergeant Chen, Sarah Mitchell and her husband. Shadow lay under the table, Hope curled beside him. "A toast," Michael said, raising his glass. "To family, the kind we're born with, and the kind we choose." Everyone raised their glasses. "To family." They drank. Lily tugged at Marcus's sleeve. "Officer Marcus." "Yeah, kiddo. Remember when I tried to sell Shadow for $3? I'll never forget it." "I'm glad nobody else stopped," she smiled. "Because then you wouldn't be here." Marcus felt his heart swell. "Me too, Lily. Me too." Shadow lifted his head and rested it on Marcus's foot. Hope did the same on the other side. Michael watched them with tears in his eyes. "You know," he said softly, "I spent 18 months believing I'd lost everything. My health, my purpose, my hope." He looked around the table at the faces gathered there. "But I didn't lose anything. I just couldn't see what I still had." "What's that, Daddy?" Lily asked. Michael smiled. "Everything that matters." Outside, snow began to fall, soft and quiet, covering the world in white. Inside, laughter and warmth filled every corner. A family that had been broken was whole again. A man who had wanted to die had found reasons to live. A child who had tried to sell her father's dog for $3 had changed the world instead. And a stranger who stopped on a frozen road had discovered that the greatest gift isn't the one you receive. It's the one you give. Some stories don't end with a goodbye. Some stories end with a beginning. And this was theirs.